The sirens wailed long before anyone saw the flashing lights. It was one of those humid evenings in Atlanta where the air felt heavy with secrets. Street lamps flickered against the damp pavement as neighbors peeked through curtains, wondering why the cops were back again. To them, it was just another arrest, another incident, but for 12-year-old Amara Lewis, it was the end of her world. Her father, Marcus Lewis, had been everything to her. A man who once served his country as a decorated Navy SEAL, a quiet hero who carried invisible wounds home. The gunshots that shattered the silence 3 nights earlier still echoed in Amara's head. The officers claimed it was self-defense, but she saw the truth. Her father never even reached for a weapon. Now, standing in front of the same police who took him away, Amara's trembling hand gripped the cold metal of his service pistol. Her eyes burned with fury and grief. The morning of the tragedy began like any other in the Lewis household, quiet but full of unspoken love. The smell of buttered toast filled the small kitchen, while Amara sat cross-legged at the table, sketching her father in his Navy uniform. Marcus smiled at her from across the table, still wearing the oil-stained coveralls from the repair shop. "Another masterpiece?" he teased, sipping his coffee. "It's for your wall," she said, proudly showing him the drawing. "You look brave." He didn't tell her about the phone call he'd gotten the night before, a threat from someone who didn't like how he'd testified in a case against a corrupt police officer 2 years earlier. To Amara, he was just dad. To others, he was a man who knew too much. That evening, Marcus left to drop off a customer's car but never made it home. Witnesses said the police stopped him for a broken taillight. Seconds later, there were flashes, not of cameras, but gunfire. By morning, his name was trending online. Suspect killed in traffic stop, but Amara knew better. Her father wasn't a suspect. He was a veteran, a man of integrity, and now a victim. The funeral drew quiet tears, cameras, and men in suits with Navy emblems on their lapels, silent warriors who had served with Marcus. Among them was Chief Donovan Briggs, a broad-shouldered man with storm gray eyes. He placed a folded flag in Amara's lap and whispered, "Your father was a brother to us." 3 nights later, the air in Southridge Street was electric with tension. The police had returned, supposedly to secure evidence from Marcus's garage, but Amara, watching from her window, saw them laugh, saw one of them step on a photo of her father as if it were trash. Something broke inside her. She went into the closet, found the old metal box her father used to keep locked. Inside lay his Navy insignia, a folded note, and his sidearm, a weapon he never fired outside of duty. The walk down the street felt endless. Every step echoed her heartbeat. Neighbors whispered. Someone recorded with a phone. When the officers saw her, one of them, Sergeant Weller, the same man from that night, took a step forward. "Hey kid, put that down." But she didn't. The world blurred as tears flooded her vision. "Why did you kill my daddy?" she cried, voice breaking through the silence. Every officer froze. Radios crackled. Hands went to holsters. The crowd gasped. And just when the tension felt unbearable, engines roared in the distance, black SUVs screeched to a halt behind the police line. The doors opened. Men in tactical gear stepped out, formation perfect, movement sharp as blades. 13 Navy SEALs. Chief Briggs led them, calm but commanding. His voice carried over the chaos. "Stand down. That's Marcus Lewis's daughter." The officers hesitated. Something shifted in the air. Authority meeting truth. The street was a powder keg of emotion. On one side, uniformed police, nervous fingers hovering near weapons. On the other, 13 trained operatives who lived by loyalty, not politics. Chief Briggs raised a hand. "Lower your weapons. This isn't war. Not today." Sergeant Weller's jaw clenched. "She's armed, Chief." "We can't." "You won't," Briggs interrupted. The other SEALs formed a quiet perimeter, not threatening but protective. Amara's breathing slowed. Her tiny hand shook as she held the gun close to her chest. Briggs knelt before her, his eyes level with hers. "Amara, look at me. Your dad wouldn't want this. He wanted truth, not revenge." Tears streamed down her face. "They said he reached for something." "He didn't," Briggs said gently. "We have body cam footage." For the first time in days, Amara felt something she hadn't since that night. Belief. She lowered the gun. The crowd exhaled as if the whole city had been holding its breath. Briggs reached forward, taking the weapon with care. Behind him, one of the SEALs whispered into a comm device. "Evidence secured. Send the clip." Minutes later, a large screen was rolled out from a van. The video silenced everyone. Marcus Lewis's calm voice filled the street. "Officer, what seems to be the issue?" Weller's answer came harsh and fast. "Step out of the vehicle." Marcus complied, hands visible, movements slow. The camera caught every detail. No aggression, no weapon, just a tired man following orders. Then, in a flash, a muzzle spark from the other side of the patrol car. Not Marcus's, but Weller's partner. A shot. Marcus fell. Gas rippled through the crowd. Weller's face turned ghost white as the footage continued. The officers planting an object near the body, exchanging nervous glances. Amara clutched Briggs's arm, sobbing quietly. The SEALs stood like statues, their loyalty now turned to justice. When the video ended, silence reigned. Chief Briggs turned toward the officers. "This is over." Weller's hand trembled as he reached for his badge. He removed it slowly, knowing there was no undoing what the world had seen. I didn't mean for it to go that far." Briggs looked at him coldly. "You didn't stop it either." Within minutes, internal affairs units arrived, escorted by media vans and city officials who suddenly had much to say. Weeks passed, but the city was different now. Protests turned into community vigils. Murals of Marcus Lewis appeared across Atlanta. A father, a veteran, a hero remembered. Chief Briggs kept his promise. With help from the SEAL team, he created the Marcus Lewis Foundation, supporting children of fallen service members and victims of injustice. Amara became its symbol, not of anger, but of resilience. "My father used to tell me that courage isn't about fighting. It's about standing for what's right," she said. "I was angry. I wanted to make the world feel my pain, but I learned that truth fights louder than bullets." The crowd erupted in applause. Above them, the sun broke through the clouds, warm and golden. The kind of light Marcus used to call God's way of saying everything's gonna be all right. As the ceremony ended, Briggs looked at the horizon and said quietly, 13 brothers, one mission fulfilled." In the end, Amara's story wasn't about revenge. It was about redemption, the courage to turn grief into justice. It reminded everyone watching that truth never dies, even when people try to bury it under fear and lies. Her journey showed that pain can forge purpose, and that sometimes it takes a child's bravery to awaken the conscience of a city. As the screen fades out on her smiling face beside her father's mural, a final message appears. If you believe in stories of courage, justice, and truth, don't forget to subscribe for more.